For months, astronomers swore the comet known as 3I/ATLAS was just another celestial drifter, a fleeting spectacle destined to graze past Mars and dissolve into the cosmic dark. A routine visitor from the stars, they said, nothing to lose sleep over. But the universe doesn't play by our assumptions. The James Webb Space Telescope, humanity's sharpest gaze into the abyss, has just unveiled a truth that shatters every prediction. The numbers don't lie. The path has veered. And now in hushed conference rooms and sleepless observatories, the unthinkable is being spoken aloud. 3I/ATLAS is no longer a flyby. It's on a collision course with Mars. This isn't just about a rogue rock slamming into the red planet. It's about an object that defies every rule of celestial mechanics, pulsing, adjusting, behaving with a precision that feels less like nature and more like intent. The data is screaming something extraordinary. 3I/ATLAS isn't tumbling blindly, it's navigating. And Mars, our closest planetary neighbor, is its target. Let's unravel this cosmic enigma step by step. When 3I/ATLAS first appeared in our scopes on June 14, 2025, it was a faint streak against the starry void, clocking an astonishing 92 kilometers per second relative to the Sun. That's fast enough to cross the distance between Earth and the Moon in under an hour. Its glowing coma, a halo of gas and dust, shimmered with an intensity that caught every astronomer's eye. But speed wasn't the anomaly. Comets, especially interstellar ones, often blaze through at breakneck paces. What set 3I/ATLAS apart was its behavior. Most comets slow or fragment as they near the Sun's heat, their icy cores sublimating into chaotic jets. Not this one. It accelerated, subtly at first, then with measurable consistency. Its trajectory began to curve, not in the wide, predictable arc of gravitational pull, but in sharp, calculated increments. By August, the coma's brightness had surged by 150%, and spectral readings from Webb's NIR-SPEC revealed something unnerving: spikes of nitrogen and methane, interspersed with isotopic signatures that didn't match any known comet. Then came the kicker. Deep in the tail, Webb detected rhythmic pulses, gas emissions firing every 19 minutes, like clockwork. Not random spurts, but controlled bursts. This wasn't a comet drifting. It was a machine maneuvering. As observatories worldwide turned their lenses on 3I/ATLAS, the data painted a chilling picture. Initial projections gave it a comfortable miss of Mars by 2.3 million kilometers, a close shave, but safe. That margin has vanished. The latest models, updated with Webb's high-resolution tracking, show a closing distance of just 1.1 million kilometers and shrinking. A single burst of acceleration, as little as 8 kilometers per second, could nudge it into a direct hit. For context, that's a fraction of the velocity already measured in those eerie, clock-like pulses. The object's trajectory is aligning with Mars' orbital plane with a precision that defies random chance. Scientists at JPL ran 10,000 simulations, and in 73% of them, 3I/ATLAS strikes Mars between October 25th and November 3rd, 2025. The window is tightening, and the object's behavior suggests it's not just drifting toward impact, it's aiming for it. These pulses aren't the chaotic venting of a melting ice ball. They're thrust vectors, adjusting course with an accuracy that mimics spacecraft navigation. The question isn't whether it will hit, it's why it seems to want to. The scientific community is reeling, and not just because of the numbers. A team at Caltech, led by astrophysicist Dr. Elena Martinez, published a controversial analysis suggesting 3I/ATLAS might not be a natural object at all. Radar pings from the Goldstone Deep Space Network returned echoes that scream metal, sharp, reflective signals unlike the porous, icy signatures of typical comets. The object's surface, or at least parts of it, behaves like polished alloy. High-resolution images from Gemini North revealed 3 faint, needle-like streams of green light emanating from the coma, pulsing in sync with the gas bursts. These weren't random emissions. They were focused, converging toward Mars like laser-guided markers. Martinez's paper doesn't mince words. 3I/ATLAS could be a probe engineered to target the red planet. The idea sounds like science fiction, but the data is hard to dismiss. The object's mass, estimated at 12 billion tons, is consistent with a dense, structured core, not a loose aggregate of ice and rock. If it's a machine, it's not here by accident. And if it's targeting Mars, the question becomes, what's it carrying? Let's talk impact. If 3I/ATLAS collides with Mars at its current speed of 59 kilometers per second, the energy release would be catastrophic. 2.7 million megatons of TNT, dwarfing every nuclear arsenal on Earth combined. The resulting crater would stretch 70 kilometers wide and 6 kilometers deep, kicking up a debris cloud that could blanket Mars' atmosphere for decades. Fragments would spiral into orbit, some potentially escaping to cross paths with Earth. Mars hosts critical assets: Perseverance, Curiosity, the Zhurong rover, and a fleet of orbiters collecting data on everything from ancient water to potential biosignatures. An impact would obliterate these missions, erasing years of research and severing our eyes on the red planet. But the stakes go beyond hardware. Mars's thin atmosphere and frozen subsurface hold clues to past life, maybe even extant microbes locked in briny pockets. A strike of this magnitude could vaporize those secrets, or worse, contaminate them with whatever 3I/ATLAS is carrying. Space agencies are scrambling: ESA, NASA, CNSA, ISRO, all convening urgent meetings, not to deflect the object, we lack the tech, but to brace for what comes next. The deeper we dive, the stranger it gets. Webb's mid-infrared instrument, MIRI, detected something in the comet's tail that sent shivers through astrobiology labs: complex organic molecules, including polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and chains resembling amino acid precursors. These aren't your garden-variety space organics. They're structured, repeating, almost engineered. Mixed in were traces of synthetic compounds, carbon-based polymers that mimic materials we've only seen in Earth's labs. These don't form naturally in the vacuum of space. They're built. And then there's the isotopic anomaly. The carbon and nitrogen ratios in 3I/ATLAS don't match any solar system body. They're alien, not in the Hollywood sense, but in a chemical fingerprint that screams not from here. If this object is a delivery system, Mars could become a petri dish. Imagine a payload of synthetic biology designed to seed or react with Martian soil. The impact wouldn't just be physical, it could trigger a biological cascade, rewriting the planet's chemistry in ways we can't predict. As the object barreled closer, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter picked up something that stopped researchers in their tracks: faint electromagnetic pulses emanating not from 3I/ATLAS, but from Mars itself. The signals, detected near the Valles Marineris Canyon system, pulsed at 19-minute intervals, perfectly matching the comet's gas bursts. This wasn't background noise or solar interference. It was structured, rhythmic, almost like a response. Geologists scrambled to check seismic data, and sure enough, microquakes rippled through the region, centered on a fracture zone known for its ancient volcanic activity. Mars wasn't just sitting there. It was reacting, as if something buried deep in its crust had been triggered. The idea sounds wild, but it's not unprecedented. Mars's magnetic field, though weak, has anomalies tied to its volcanic past. Could 3I/ATLAS be interacting with those? Or is something on Mars something old, something dormant, waking up to meet it? The plot thickened when a team at MIT ran a spectral analysis on the comet's light curve. The pulses weren't just mechanical, they followed a mathematical pattern, a fractal sequence that mirrored growth structures in nature, like tree branches or neural networks. When plotted, the data formed a spiral, eerily similar to patterns found in Martian geological formations, particularly in the Hellas Basin. This wasn't random, it was deliberate, encoded, like a signal embedded in the object's motion. Cryptographers took it further, converting the pulse intervals into binary. The result? A sequence that included the atomic numbers of hydrogen, carbon, and silicon, elements central to both life and technology. Interspersed were prime numbers, arranged in a way that suggested a message, not chaos. If 3I/ATLAS is communicating, it's not using radio waves. It's using its trajectory, its pulses, its very presence. The impact window, October 25th to November 3rd, might not just be a collision, it might be the delivery of that message. Then came the shadow. Webb's deep field imaging caught something trailing 3I/ATLAS, not physically connected, but locked in sync at 0.05 astronomical units. It wasn't debris or gas. It was too consistent, too dark. Radar couldn't touch it. Infrared barely registered it. Yet it moved with the comet, maintaining a precise distance, unswayed by solar wind or gravity. When mapped in 3D, its orbit traced a perfect helix, a shape that doesn't occur naturally in space. Speculation ran wild. A secondary object? A field effect? A projection? Some called it a ghost, not in the supernatural sense, but as a phenomenon we can't yet explain. Whatever it is, it's tied to 3I/ATLAS, and it's headed for Mars too. The idea that the comet is the main event began to crumble. What if it's just the carrier, and the shadow is the payload? As the impact window loomed, astronomers noticed a cosmic coincidence that sent chills down their spines. The trajectory of 3I/ATLAS aligns with Mars at a rare orbital resonance, a configuration where Mars, Earth, and the Sun form a near-perfect geometric arc. This alignment, occurring on October 29, 2025, matches a cycle last seen in 1971 during the Mariner 9 mission, when Mars's atmosphere was briefly altered by a massive dust storm. Ancient astronomers might have called this a portent. Modern ones call it a statistical anomaly. But the precision is uncanny. The comet's approach syncs with Mars' closest point to Earth in a 54-year cycle. If it's random, it's the kind of random that feels scripted. Some researchers are now asking, has 3I/ATLAS been here before? Could its path be part of a larger cycle, one we're only now noticing because we finally have the tools? The James Webb team pushed their instruments to the limit, capturing one final scan before the comet entered Mars' gravitational influence. The results were staggering. Embedded in the coma were traces of xenon isotopes, rare in space but linked to nuclear processes, natural or otherwise. These weren't just floating atoms. They were arranged in a lattice-like structure, suggesting artificial design. The data was shared with ESA and CNSA under strict confidentiality, but leaks suggest a consensus. 3I/ATLAS is carrying something engineered, something meant to interact with Mars. The question is what? A probe? A terraformer? A beacon? The lack of answers sparked a quiet panic. NASA's public updates slowed to a trickle, and encrypted signals were detected between Earth and Mars orbiters. Insiders whispered about contingency protocols, not to stop the impact, impossible at this stage, but to monitor something specific. What exactly, they won't say. Meanwhile, Mars itself seemed to stir. The ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter detected a surge in methane near Elysium Planitia, a region long studied for its potential to harbor microbial life. The spike wasn't gradual, it was sudden, tied to the same 19-minute pulse cycle as the comet. Seismic sensors on the InSight lander, though long retired, were reactivated remotely and picked up tremors deep beneath the surface, centered on a fault line inactive for millions of years. The planet's magnetic field, normally a faint whisper, showed localized spikes, almost like it was responding to an external signal. Scientists are now grappling with a radical idea. What if Mars isn't just a target? What if it's a participant? The comet's pulses, the planet's tremors, the shadow trailing behind, they're all synchronized, like components of a single system. If 3I/ATLAS is a key, Mars might be the lock. As the final days approached, a team of archaeoastronomers uncovered something haunting. Ancient Sumerian star charts, etched on clay tablets, describe a wandering flame that crosses the sky and kisses the red star every 54 years. The description matches 3I/ATLAS's path with unsettling accuracy, down to the timing of its Mars approach. Similar patterns appear in Mayan codices and Chinese astronomical records, all pointing to a celestial event tied to Mars. These aren't myths, they're observations, recorded with a precision that rivals modern telemetry. How could ancient cultures track an object we only just noticed? The answer might lie in the Martian surface itself. High-resolution images from the Mars Global Surveyor, re-examined in light of the comet's approach, revealed faint, grid-like patterns near Acidalia planitia. Once dismissed as erosion, they now resemble circuit-like structures etched into the crust. Could Mars hold a record of past encounters, not just geological, but intentional? The closer 3I/ATLAS gets, the more it defies explanation. Its light curve, the pattern of its brightness, doesn't match a spinning rock. Instead, it pulses in a sequence that follows a logarithmic spiral, a mathematical signature found in everything from galaxies to DNA. When neuroscientists at Stanford exposed volunteers to these pulses, converted to sound waves, their brain activity synced across subjects, mimicking patterns seen in deep meditation. This isn't just physics, it's resonance, as if the comet's signal is designed to interact with consciousness. The implications are staggering. If 3I/ATLAS is a message, it's not just for Mars, it's for us. Its trajectory, its pulses, its shadow, they're all part of a system that's been running longer than our species has existed. And now, as it closes in, we're not just observers, we're part of the equation. In the final hours before the projected impact, Mars began to change. Orbiters detected a faint glow in the atmosphere above Christ Planitia, not from dust or auroras, but from ionized particles forming a lattice-like pattern. The glow pulsed, matching the comet's 19-minute cycle. At the same time, a dust pattern emerged on the surface, a perfect spiral, 3 kilometers wide, centered on a crater with no known origin. It wasn't wind-driven, it was precise, as if etched by an unseen hand. Scientists are now asking the unthinkable. Is Mars preparing for impact, not as a victim, but as a recipient? The comet's shadow, still trailing, has grown darker, its orbit tightening. Radar scans suggest it's not a physical object, but a distortion, like a gravitational lens-bending light. Whatever it is, it's locked to 3I/ATLAS, and both are locked to Mars. As the clock ticks down, one last discovery has left the world speechless. A reanalysis of old Viking orbiter data from the 1970s uncovered a faint signal buried in the noise. A low-frequency hum originating from beneath Cydonia Mensae, the region infamous for its face-like formation. The hum matches the comet's pulse frequency, down to the millisecond. It's been there for decades, waiting. When overlaid with 3I/ATLAS's trajectory, the signal source aligns perfectly with the comet's projected impact zone. This isn't coincidence, it's calibration. Mars has been broadcasting, quietly, persistently, as if waiting for this moment. And now, with 3I/ATLAS hours away, the planet is responding louder than ever. What happens next is anyone's guess. If 3I/ATLAS strikes, the physical devastation will be immense, but the real impact might be deeper, biological, informational, even existential. If it misses, the pulses, the shadow, the Martian signals suggest it's already done something to the red planet, and maybe to us. The James Webb Telescope has given us a front-row seat to a cosmic event that's been in motion for millennia, perhaps longer. 3I/ATLAS isn't just a comet, it's a catalyst, a key turning in a lock we didn't know existed. Mars, Earth, the signals, the patterns, they're all connected, part of a system we're only beginning to understand. As the final moments approach, one thing is clear. This isn't the end of a story, it's the beginning of a question. What is 3I/ATLAS? And what does it want with Mars? The answer might not be in the sky, but in the silence that follows.